The Flyers are out of the first round. They're into round number 2. We'll preview the series with the Islanders. This presents a much different challenge than Montreal did, and we'll break it down now with Kevin Durso as he joins us here, our Flyers insider from 97.3 ESPN.com. He appears via the Boardwalk Honda hotline. And, Kevin, let's start with that. What challenges do the Islanders bring that maybe are a little bit more advanced than what Montreal was able to bring?
Yeah, Montreal was not nearly as deep of a team as the Islanders are. The Islanders have really good depth on their team. They've got some really solid forwards, and it goes beyond their top 6. This is pretty much probably as well-balanced a team as the Flyers are in terms of pretty much everybody who's left in the Eastern Conference can roll 4 lines really well. And they've got skill guys. I mean, they've got more skill guys than Montreal did for sure. And a lot of them are not faces of the league, I would like to say, is the best way I can describe it. You know, Matthew Barzal's an excellent player. He's got the potential to be a superstar down the road, and he is an all-star already, but not as many people know him because he's just not in that same level as a Sidney Crosby or an Alex Ovechkin or somebody like that. But he's really talented. The Flyers have had fits with him before, and there's a chance that they certainly will in this series as well, especially if you give him the space to operate. You got guys like Anthony Beauvillier, who's been scoring a ton in the playoffs so far. Anders Lee and Brock Nelson are talented forwards as well who have been all-stars before as well. So you've got to watch for all of those guys. And even down to at the deadline way back in late February, the Islanders add J.G. Pajot, who is a very talented center as well, who was scoring a ton with Ottawa, and then comes over to the Islanders and really didn't miss a beat, and the style seems to fit him as well. So it's a similar team in a lot of ways to Montreal. They definitely still bring that same kind of physical nature. They are going to challenge you in the defensive zone. They're going to make things difficult on you, but they are less of that team that will challenge you almost in a man-to-man style in the neutral zone. They'll sit back a little more. That might play into the Flyers' favor if they can get some better entries and maybe execution that leads to better entries, but then they're still going to be challenged to get to the net and get to the dirty areas where a lot of goals are scored in the playoffs. That's really going to be one of the keys to the series is who can create the most space at the front of the net and take advantage of it, because the Islanders score a lot from in close. The Flyers have been trying to do that as well. They've scored a number of their goals in other games in the bubble, in the round robin, by being able to go to the net, and that's a style I think they'd want to have play out in their favor as well in this series. So that's going to be the challenge, and the Islanders certainly pose a threat with the amount of depth that they have.
Yeah, this is definitely going to be a defensive matchup. And one of the things we've praised throughout the entire season with this squad was Alain Vigneault. So I asked this question, who has the coaching advantage? Because Barry Trotz is one hell of a coach. He obviously won the Stanley Cup, and he has put together a great scheme with this team, which concerns me a bit. So, when it comes to the coaching advantage, where do you see that?
It's really close. I mean, probably Barry Trotz has the advantage because he's got the one thing that Alain Vigneault does not, which is the Stanley Cup win. He's been this far before and farther, and has the ability and has shown the ability to be able to finish the job with one team in the past. And obviously he's not the coach of the Washington Capitals anymore like he was 2 years ago when he won the Stanley Cup, but he's brought that to the Islanders, and it's that defensive style, and it's helped make the Islanders an even more competitive team. And, the Flyers have had to do the same thing with Alain Vigneault. They had to buy into the style and become a better team as a result of buying in, and we've seen it from both sides. So I think that the advantage, if there is any, is very slim. Barry Trotz has obviously just been there before, and I thought Barry Trotz said something that was really interesting about experience in the playoffs, because both teams have had players who haven't been on deep playoff runs before in their careers. And Barry Trotz said that experience doesn't really matter until you're the team that's up against adversity. So I think that game one is really a tone setter in this series to really establish whose style is going to come out on top, to see if there's areas that need as much improvement as they looked to in that Montreal series, especially from the Flyers standpoint. If the execution still doesn't look good, if they're still struggling to take shots and get shot volume on the net, then I think that you're going to start to be more concerned if you not only see that, but you also don't win the game and you fall behind 1-0 in the series, because it's not going to work this time around. I think what you need to see is you need to see them come out and see if they can play their game more like they did in the round robin. They took advantage of those top teams by being able to play their game, and Montreal really held them at bay for a lot of that series. So if you can come out and play your game and have some positive signs going forward in the series, whether you win or lose the game tonight, I think that if you show those signs, then that's probably a better outcome than the win or the loss. But if you can win and maybe not have your best game, it also sets the tone as well. So I think game one is just an important game no matter what happens. It's just about trying to get that edge, because I think the Flyers have had the best success when they're in the driver's seat.
Kevin Durso, tonight the Flyers take on the Islanders game one. You can listen to the game right here on 97.3 ESPN. And don't forget, download the free mobile app, and you can listen to the game right on your phone. Puck drops at 7. Hockey, it's about the goalie. Carey Price, that was the fear. Should the Flyers have a decided advantage at that spot in this series?
Yeah, I think so now. I think that, when it's Carey Price, there's something that comes with that. I think it can almost play into your mind that you're going against Carey Price. And I think the Flyers tried to be too perfect from an offensive standpoint because it's Carey Price in the other net. I think maybe now everybody relaxes a little bit because it's not a goalie who just carries that weight of being such a superstar. Semyon Varlamov has been excellent in these playoffs. I'm not taking anything away from him. He's going to be a tough challenge, but it's not the name. It just isn't. And I think that the Flyers have a guy right now also. Carter Hart has shown the ability to bounce back from the rough starts, has shown the ability to bounce back within games from some of the bad things that may happen. If he lets in a goal, he bounces back really quickly. You're going to need that mentality in the series because goals could be hard to come by, especially early. I think the first period of this game tonight probably is going to be a really big feeling out process. So it probably is going to look slow. It may not be the type of start you're looking for, but as long as you don't give anything up and you can play a calm game, and Carter Hart certainly oozes calmness when he's in the net, then I think that can play into your advantage big time. I think that the other thing about Varlamov is that he's not going to be the same type of guy that Carey Price is either, in terms of if you're going to dump the puck into the zone, Carey Price turns into another defenseman and plays it and makes it look easy. Varlamov's not like that at all, and I think that's another advantage too. They're not going to be able to utilize the Islanders can't utilize their goalie the way Montreal was able to utilize theirs, and that can play into the Flyers' favor.
I have such a weird feeling heading into this series because obviously the Flyers exceeded expectations, at least in my books, and here they are in the second round. Is this a must-win series? Is it, hey, they can lose the series, but it needs to look better than it did against the Montreal Canadiens? They're not going up against a Tampa or a Boston Bruins where they're obviously a really good cup contender, if you will. So what should we expect out of the Flyers? What should be the real expectations in a series against the Islanders?
It's tough to lay an expectation on it, but one of the things I think you want to look for is I want to see this team kind of put their money where their mouth is, because they talked for the last couple of days about having another level to reach, and everybody from Chuck Fletcher to Alain Vigneault to some of the players said that there's another level to hit. Now I want to see it. I want to see them hit that next level and see how far that takes them, not just in this series, but maybe beyond if they can come out of this series too. I want to see that, and I don't disagree with anything that was said over the last couple of days. I think that there is another level as well, because we saw them play so well in those first 3 round robin games and then really have a tough time with Montreal, who was, it's the 12th seed in the Eastern Conference. It's the 24th ranked team in points percentage that even made it into the bubble. It was, I think expectations were way higher for that Montreal series, and I certainly don't think a lot of people saw it going 6 games. Now you're into a tougher series, so I think expectations on how long this series goes are much more tempered in that sense. But I still think that if the Flyers are going to talk about having another level to reach, and if they haven't played their best hockey yet in a playoff series, which I agree they haven't, then I want to see them actually reach that level, especially against this team, because this is probably the one team that's left in the Eastern Conference that they haven't been able to defeat yet this year, and I want to see if they can find the way to do that now that they have much more of a feel for playoff hockey. That first series was a really good setup for this kind of type of series. At this point, I think they're going to be more prepared to play the playoff style that comes with playing in at this time of year in the NHL, and I think that's what I need to see now, is I need to see them hit that next level.
Let me ask you about the schedule. I mean, 2 back-to-backs, including the 6 and 7. You're going to play games 6 and 7 on a back-to-back. I mean, do you have any insight on why there's 2 back-to-backs in this playoff series? I mean, especially games 6 and 7. I understand if you're saying everybody had to play one, but they got 2 back-to-backs in the series, don't they?
Yeah, they do, and it certainly stood out to me when I saw the schedule come out too. And the only thing that I can think of that lends to this is that tentatively the league is trying to start the conference finals by September 8th. And the 2 teams that come out of these 2 series in the Eastern Conference are then going to have to leave Toronto and travel to Edmonton. And I'm sure there's going to be a period for a couple days at least where those 2 teams have to stay away from everything and have to just isolate in their hotel rooms once they get to Edmonton. So I think that explains why they need these series to be over by September 3rd at the latest. Gives them 5 days to not only have them travel, but have them get situated in Edmonton, take the time to get accustomed to a new bubble, and then go and be able to start to practice and get ready for game one of whenever their series would be. So I think that's the reason. It certainly presents a challenge in these times. I mean, you look at these, the schedule here, and the Flyers are going to play for the first 4 games of this series in 5.5 days because even Game 4 is on Saturday in the afternoon from a Monday night Game 1 start. So it's going to be a lot of hockey in a short amount of time, and I guess you have the benefit because you don't have to travel anywhere. That's an added bonus, but it still is a challenge, and there might be some creative things that have to happen with the lineups and even with the goalies that may come into play because you're playing so much in such a little period of time. I think that's going to really make things interesting in this series.
For more on this series, go to 973ESPN.com. Kevin_Durso. Follow him for live action during the game. And, of course, right here, listen to the game tonight, 7 o'clock. Tim Saunders and Steve Coates call all the action. You can listen to the game on 97.3 ESPN, the free mobile app. Download it wherever you get your apps in your app store, or you can listen on your computer at 97.3ESPN.com. And I'm sure we'll be hearing much more from Kevin throughout this series. Thank you, pal.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Flyers coverage with Kevin Durso. It's brought to you by PlaySugarHouse.com. Sign up now. They'll match your first deposit up to $250.